for the PBA Denver Open title. You can see Brian Voss and Tommy Jones preparing themselves for today's final. It should be a great one. You know, it should be great later tonight, too, when there is a AFC showdown. Excuse me, actually, you know what? Monday night's just as good. Monday Night Countdown provides comprehensive analysis and the interviews heading up to the Monday Night Football game. Of course, Stu Scott, Tom Jackson, Michael Irvin, Ron Jaworski, the new edition Mike Ditka, Chris Mortensen with all the inside info. You can get all the news leading up to Monday Night Football. Bill Parcells and the Cowboys, they're going to travel to Seattle, take on Sean Alexander and the Seahawks. Welcome back to the PBA Denver Open. You know, most of you know Norm Duke has 21 titles to his credit, but do you know about his fishing prowess? Randy asks him that and more in this week's Miller Six-Pack.
Norm, what's the smartest thing you've ever done?
I quit baseball. At one point, I stopped bowling to play baseball because I just loved it. Smartest thing ever did is go back to bowling because I wasn't very good at baseball. I just loved to do it, but that's got to be high ranking up there.
Good career choice.
Yeah.
What's the dumbest thing you've ever done?
Quit bowling for baseball.
What is the one thing that you do when you want to take your mind completely off of bowling?
I go fishing. I never catch anything, so I'm really just out there pondering things, throwing stuff in the water and listening to it make these little splashes. So that pretty much lets me regroup.
Any truth to the rumor that the last time you went fishing, you actually caught an alligator?
Well, I didn't catch him in my hands. I was barefooted, but I hooked him. And so I was, fishing him around for a little while, but barefooted, I didn't want to tackle him. But he wasn't only about this big. Chasing my lure, I lured him right underneath and then kind of hooked him in the shoulder, and then I felt sorry for him. I cut him loose.
Norm, what is your worst road trip on tour ever?
Billy Young and I traveled from Detroit to Oklahoma City once. It probably took us 3 days in the snow, and we had the battery cables wrong, and then I stopped for gas and I pulled the whole tank right off of it. It was terrible. I left it in there and drove off, You
left the nozzle in the
I left the nozzle in, and then the whole, what is it called, aluminum cover just comes off, and I had this nozzle just strung out across the parking lot, and I was in full service, and I waved the guy off. I said, no, it's all right, I'll get it, because it was snow in there, Right. When I went in, did my thing, drove off. Now he was really hot at me.
In the future, at your Hall of Fame induction, what would you like to hear said about Norm Duke?
Well, I would like to hear that I was inspirational to the people behind me, because I remember, and still do, I look up to Gary Dickinson and George Pappas and Jim Stefanich. Those were my bowling idols when I was growing up. And, what they did for me on Saturday that they'll never even know about. I hope one day somebody can say what Norm has done for me.
Very thoughtful Norm Duke, and he was very entertaining today. On the road, the PBA Tour schedule next week, the Earl Anthony Medford Classic at Lava Lanes in Medford, Oregon. We'll see if those Lava Lanes heat up. Pro-Am, of course, Saturday. Come on out to Lava Lanes. Then it's SoCal, the Orange County Classic, presented by Storm, December 15th through the 19th at the Fountain Bowl. The Pro-Ams, by the way, are on Saturday, December 18th, and you can see 3 different bowling centers listed there. Of course, for more, you can go to PBA.com. Should make PBA Tour's official website, PBA.com, your official holiday shopping headquarters. All the latest PBA merchandise and apparel, including T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, player magnets, much more. They're available at the PBA's online store. Shop for the entire family at PBA.com. Once again, Brian Voss coming up in our final against Tommy Jones. He hasn't won in 44 events. We'll see if he can do it here in Denver. Last week's Pepsi Open saw PBA doubles titleist Jason Hurd snap a 6-match TV Finals losing streak, defeating Rick Lawrence in his semi.
He put the fire out, brother. I had to put it out. Sorry.
Hurd then went on to face a gritty Mike Edwards in the finals, where a 226 proved enough to claim his first career singles title and an all-important 2005-2006 exemption.
Lakewood, Colorado, just outside of Denver, the PBA Denver Open. Tommy Jones defeating Paul Fleming, Brian Voss taking care of Norm Duke, setting up our finals. And let's take a look at our Geico Direct Championship recap. Early in match number one, it was Tommy Jones defeating Paul Fleming by the score of 234 to 200. Jones jumped out early and never looked back. Then in match number two, it was Brian Voss defeating Norm Duke by the score of 265 to 222. Norm lost 10 pins with the towel throw. Voss flirted with perfection to defeat his buddy, setting up a great championship match. Joe?
Well, we described this earlier as a generational gap showdown here, and here it is, the next generation, the living legend. Brian, let me start with you. That was so emotional against your best friend on tour. It took so much focus and energy. How do you reset your mindset now for this title match?
Well, really, after the eighth strike, I knew the match was over, and I just wanted to settle down and try and shoot 300. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't, because I'd still be going crazy right now. So I'm ready. I kind of lost the right lane a little bit in practice. I'm still kind of fishing, and I'm going to have to finish on that lane. So I got my work cut out for me.
Good luck, Brian.
Thank you.
Tommy, when you go up against a guy like this, a Hall of Famer, do you carry a nothing-to-lose attitude?
Yeah, Brian Voss is a great bowler. I grew up watching him bowl on TV, and I've learned a lot from him. So today we're going to see how much I've learned from him.
We will see. Randy, what are we in store for in this matchup?
Well, we're in store for some fireworks, but let me show you the keys to victory today. Tommy Jones has to keep his hands soft. That means don't overhit it, over-rev it. It'll blow right through the spot down the lane and obviously stay on an even keel. Brian Voss has to hit his slide, meaning he has to stay posted and then have that hook game ready if need be. And joining us in the booth, my good friend, and a guy who is very crafty, as you just saw in the last match, with a towel. Norm Duke, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
First question I have to ask you, buddy, what happened in that match against Brian?
Well, I lost 3 frames in a row right after the turkey. And, and Brian lost a couple too, but he was fortunate to get the carry that he needed to sustain the string. And once you're on strikes, Randy, every shot you throw, you get a 10-pin bigger advantage. And then before it was too long, it was all over.
Well, not much changes for Brian Voss, guys. Opens with a strike. See, Jones had 7 himself in his semifinal. Not happening here.
Well, we saw Tommy Jones in his first match play the deep inside line. He was at 26. Now he's at 28, and that ball doesn't hold pocket. So he's either going to have to move in deeper and start lofting it, or he's going to have to move right where Brian Voss is.
The Baby Ruth real deal matchup between Jones and Voss.
6 pins a game, higher average, obviously advantage Voss. The big thing, though, that you have to watch for is who's going to have the better ball reaction. This is Brian looking at the right lane. Remember, he told Joe that he wasn't real sure about his reaction on the right lane. But Tommy Jones, Norm Duke, is some 15 to 20 boards left of Brian Voss, and now it changed balls. And the question I have to ask you is it advantage Tommy Jones or advantage Brian Voss based on the way the two are playing the lanes?
Well, I fully intended to go out and play the same line as Tommy Jones, and it was squirrely in there. And I elected to go right between them. I think that Brian has the advantage now based on what I saw inside that 4th arrow.
2-5 spare for Jones. Made his mark. Norm,
in my opinion, this shot right now on this right lane is going to basically tell the entire story of this match.
He will. I think so, and I think he has moved his feet considerably left. He's going to go a little more direct than he was in the first match, and let's see if it works for him. And he didn't. He stayed right where he was. Randy just took his hand out of the ball and just let it square up to the pins, and it did not hit. That's trouble.
It almost looked like he moved further right and just and then just kind of took all the hit out of it, and that ball was flat as a pancake.
So he was perfect through 8 in his semifinal. Here the spare in the second frame. ESPN's coverage of PBA bowling rolls on next Sunday. The tour makes a stop in Medford, Oregon for the Earl Anthony Medford Classic. PBA bowling, ESPN Sunday at 1 Eastern.
And Norm, you know, it's always a great thing for us going back to Medford because we get to see our old friend Marshall Holman.
Well, you know, he was an idol of all of ours. Randy still is, and he's going to be playing with us next week. Maybe he is the one that's going to take Brian Voss down.
Brian Voss and Marshall Holman actually tied with 22 career wins apiece. Marshall Holman getting a commissioner's exemption, so not only will we see him physically, but we'll see him in action. And always great to go back to Medford and Lava Lanes.
Spare ball to take out the 9 for Brian Voss. The 46-year-old Hall of Famer against the 26-year-old up-and-comer. There he is, Tommy Jones, former high school baseball player, a self-taught bowler. Came back from 3 games down to 1 in the round of 16, and now here in the title.
Norm Dick, less aggressive bowling ball, same line. That shot looked pretty good.
Listen to how softly he puts it down. Did you even hear it hit the lane?
You know, that's the remarkable thing about Tommy is he has so much power, but also he has the finesse, like you mentioned before, the soft hand.
Making sure that he's got a nice grip there, adding a piece of tape. You know, the thing I asked Tommy last night was that, you know, how do you create all that hit? He says, I don't know, because I don't feel anything on the end of my fingers.
It's worked out well this season. You see his finishes. Won the Japan Cup. Says, I just need to think positive, have positive vibes. Oh. Looking for that late help on the 7.
And Normie, when watching Tommy Jones, it kind of reminds me of watching Rick Steele-Smith when he first came out on tour, where you were almost afraid to bowl against him. And my old roommate and your friend, you remember Tom Kreitz, my doubles partner on tour for many years, 6-time champion. We were watching Tommy Jones on Friday, and Tommy said to me, it's amazing that Tommy Jones doesn't win 3 tournaments a year out here.
He might from now on.
And make it 63 of 65 on his single pin conversions this week in Denver. Voss and Jones, more to come.
Hey, do you like Baby Ruth?
Yeah.
Do you like bowling? Mm-hmm. Well, now, for a limited time, when you buy a bag of Baby Ruth, you get a free game of bowling. Buy another bag and get another free game. Another bag, another free game. You can get millions of free games in the Baby Ruth free bowling giveaway. Just look for specially marked bags of fun size, 10 packs, and minis, and get your free game of bowling today. Baby Ruth from Nestle, the real deal.
A smooth, quiet ride. Uniroyal Tires, proud sponsor of the PBA Tour.
In the morning, colds can be draining, so wake up to new non-drowsy Alka-Seltzer Plus. With a burst of effervescence, it's instantly ready to break up your worst cold symptoms fast. So you're not just relieved, you feel revived. New non-drowsy Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Hey, it's me, your Crock-Pot Slow Cooker. Thanks to Banquet's new Crock-Pot Classics, I'm easier than ever to use. Banquet Crock-Pot Classics come complete with big chunks of tender meat, fresh sliced veggies, and perfectly seasoned sauces. Just pour in Banquet's delicious ingredients, add some water, it's that easy. By the end of the day, you've slow cooked a delicious meal, like chicken and red skin potatoes or hearty beef stew. Home cooked meals have never been easier, so get crockin' and try Banquet's Crock-Pot Classics, new in your grocer's freezer.
Open Open alongside Randy Peterson and Norm Duke. I'm Joe Tessitore. Time for our Uniroyal Tire Rock and Roll, Randy.
And normally I do the Uniroyal Rock and Roll, but I think it's only fitting, Norm, you take this one.
Well, you know, this is just to show how a pendulum swing can be so effective, and I use it as a teaching aid. Now, at this point, I use it to suck $10 bills out of Brian Voss's pocket.
Nice.
Of course, Brian Voss, I think, will gladly pay you the $10 if he sinks his teeth into the $40,000 that comes along with winning this Denver Open. You saw the strike percentages there moments ago. Voss heading in the right direction. Jones a little bit behind his typical number. Voss by 1 pin right now. See, 4-7-9.
Brian Voss.
Excuse me, 4-6-7.
Brian Voss confused on that right lane, Norm.
He just didn't make a good pass at that. You know, I know he's going straight, and that was very straight, but he lost it off his hand, missed left, and he did not want it. He wanted that one back off his hand.
You know, the thing that's always been trouble for me is when you're trying to go that straight and you know you can't leak at a board to the right, you tend to grab it and miss left.
No question. That's the hardest thing about going direct. And, of course, the opposite is true when you're hooking the ball.
And the chameleon pattern is blown apart. It's looking real ugly right now.
Well, you know, he just moved his feet into where I was playing him, and there was already a track there, Brian.
So what does he do now, Norm?
Well, he's going to have to stay right of that area or move left of it further toward Tommy Jones.
Converts to 9. Makes his mark. Good look at George Heady there, the general manager of Brunswick Zone Lakewood. It's been an outstanding week here for the PBA, and what a great crowd here in Denver. It's been over a decade since the PBA has been here in the Mile High City. They're happy to have it back. South Carolina's Tommy Jones.
Looks like a pretty good adjustment, Norm.
Yeah, that's the third perfect pitch in a row for Tommy Jones, and I know he's comfortable. You know, he got that bad break not catching that 7-pin in between those strikes. But this is pure off his hand.
27th board going out to about 10.
Want to remind everybody, tonight, Sunday Night Football, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that great running game and the steady play of quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, they take on Jacksonville. Jags trying to make a push towards the playoffs. It's also available on high def. Coverage begins with NFL primetime at 7:30. A little high there, guys. Late help? No, sir.
That look from there, Norm. Brian threw a couple of those at you the last game.
Yeah, Brian had some family strikes in there.
Yeah. But the good news, though, no split. He remains clean. However, he doesn't take advantage of the strike in the 5th frame. So his lead with a spare here will still be 13. Brian Voss still in it. He's got to figure out where to go, Norm.
If there's anybody on this planet that can make an adjustment on 2 lanes and get 2 strikes in a row, it's Brian Voss. I think that we're going to see some metal now.
Norm Duke, I sensed at the end of the semifinal against Brian Voss that Brian was actually very emotional. Do you think that affected him heading into this title match? Did he drain a lot of that in that semifinal?
No, I don't think so. I think he's at his best when he's emotional. I just think there's a lot of changes out there on the lanes, and these guys are trying to stay on top of it.
See how he deals with the changes here. Very well, thank you.
Much better pitch. You can see it immediately out of his hand, Norm. You can see that shot was pretty clean out of his hand. It holds line and has that little bit of back in reaction. And you know the Voss family.
I know all of them, and they're such great people.
See Diane.
I would have felt terrible if I'd have won in front of all those.
Diana's mom. Mike and Mark, Brian's brothers. Dina, his sister, all here in Lakewood, Colorado. So the split right through the nose, leaving the 410.
And you look how different he's playing these 2 lanes now, Norm Duke. It looked like a pretty good shot, just soft. He's got to get the ball over to this side of the 4-pin and throw it over into the 10. Randy rating on this shot is about
Never for me.
an 8.0. Looks good.
Oh, so an open frame. You know, we used to have visits from Andy Verapapa back in Schenectady in the day. Could have used him here in Denver there.
Joe, your grandfather owned a bowling center in Schenectady.
BB Lanes.
Did anybody ever throw a bowling ball out of a towel for a strike?
No, I think they would have enjoyed seeing that.
Okay.
Norm Duke, highlight of the day. Opportunity for Tommy Jones now.
And
makes the most of it, guys.
just like Hall of Fame bowlers, when somebody opens up in front of you, you have to take advantage of it. Tommy Jones doing exactly what Brian Voss taught him to do when he used to watch the television show.
Kind of reminds me of Star Wars and, in Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, or, before you left, I'm the master, now I'm the learner, the master. Well, Brian Voss was the master, Tommy Jones was the learner. Looks like Tommy Jones was a good study.
The 26-year-old looking for his second title of the year. That's going to help.
Bingo. Best Brian Voss can shoot, Norm Duke, is 201. Tommy Jones going at a 208 pace. The only chance Brian Voss will have is if Tommy Jones lets him in. Take a look at this, Norm.
I tell you, that is the shot that wins you titles, too. When you can go up by 30 this late in the game and you can make a shot like that on a difficult condition.
Trailing by 37 pins. He needs it.
Wow. That was a pretty good pitch by Brian, too, and it looks to be over for him unless he gets a whole lot of help.
We talked about the fact that Tommy Jones has been blowing out opponents when he's won in his 16 wins he had this week. Takes care of the 7. Semifinal number 1, he was red hot. He was perfect through 8, 10 of 12 strikes. You see the difference here, and you guys have touched on it, the lane conditions as the day has moved onward.
And you could see that it was going to be advantage Tommy Jones. He stayed in the same zone and just went to a less aggressive bowling ball. Brian Voss is playing one lane up 5. He's playing another lane like in between second and third arrow.
Leaves the 4. And you see that chameleon pattern, Randy.
Tommy Jones started in here, and when the lane's dried up, he just went to a less aggressive bowling ball. Okay, let's try that again. Tommy Jones started in here, and when it dried up, he just went to a less aggressive bowling ball. Brian Voss started here, then on the right lane, he tried to go this way.
And a look of relief for the 26-year-old.
Y'all talked about 3 titles in a year. I think that, that's a true statement. He is as good as they get right now.
And just a young guy. Got a lot of years ahead of him on the PBA Tour, Norm, as long as he stays healthy. And it is Tommy Jones's day today.
Late help. And Tommy Jones is your PBA Denver Open champion. The generation gap, Jones versus Voss. A good look at the future of the PBA Tour from this very exciting player. Fast track to finish up here. His wife, Kristen, back home. I'm sure thrilled right now. Friends, James and Andrea, watching alongside. He wanted to make sure we mentioned them. He was thinking about them all week long. Tommy Jones on his home turf, American soil. He can celebrate with the PBA fans.
And a nice way to finish his first championship stateside. 2-4-8-10 conversion.
So Tommy Jones defeats Brian Voss 224-179. His second title this year. The PBA on ESPN, brought to you by Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly, this is the High Life. By Uniroyal Tires, the official tire of the PBA Tour. Uniroyal Tires, trusted by American families since 1892. And by Bear, the more you know, the more you trust Bear. Colorado and the PBA Tour, a good mix and a great day of bowling. The fans here enjoyed themselves. They saw Tommy Jones win the PBA Denver Open over Brian Voss. Randy Peterson is standing by with him. Randy?
Tommy Jones got his first PBA title in Japan in September. Tommy, first of all, congratulations. How does it feel to get your first title stateside?
Thanks, Randy. It feels great. The people here at Brunswick Zone this week in Denver were unbelievable. The staff and everybody treated us great. We haven't had a crowd like this year. These fans are awesome. You guys did a great job. You should applaud yourself.
Looking forward to coming back to Denver next year?
I'll be back no matter what.
Tommy, next question I have to ask you is at what point during the last match did you feel inside that this tournament was yours?
Well, in bowling, strange things can happen, and Brian Voss is one of the greatest bowlers of all time. So until he's out of wood, you always got to think that he can come back. But, you know, when I got up and made a good shot on the right lane in the ninth frame, I knew it was mine, then I could celebrate a little bit.
Tommy, congratulations. Thanks very much. Back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Randy. He says he'll be back. He'll be back many times in many spots on this tour.